on momentarily. Anytime. Alright, that should do it. Hello, I'm TigerHawk3. This is more Python, continuing our incremental idle clicker game. That's the clone of Cookie Clicker. That's the genre. So, I have some updates planned for today. Let's add cursors. Cursors are something that are extra cursors and click for you every now and again. So they are basically buildings, but instead of having a clicks per second value, they will be based on the click strength. So let's add that. Cursors. Let's add a cursor thing, a gear. Dot cursor gear cursor. Extra cursors. Actually, let's start with let's make it just cursors. Should be like this. Extra clicks, more cursors, yeah. And these are independent of the, these will not fire when you click. They are per second based on click strength. Cursors, so let's indeed make them extra cursors. %d 0. And the tooltip will be cursors that click without needing to be clicked. That click all by themselves. It will cost, let's say, 25. I have a plan for the costs, by the way. Currently, we're just increasing the cost by 10% each time. I looked over at the Cookie Clicker wiki at its upgrades, and generally things in a series, like upgrades for a particular building, cost much more each time. Instead of 10% more, they're generally 10 to 1,000 times more. So that will change. I will change it. And this will have tip and cost. Do we need a quantity other than 0? No. Does it need a per second? No. Does it need a limit? I don't think so. Multipliers? No, I don't think so. What do multipliers do? To double its strength. So no. Synergies? No. Okay. That's a simple one. No limit for now. Now let's add it. So it's going to be in update. Now first we'll add something to purchase. Right? No. That's for later. I will change that. For now, every time something updates, the tick every second, I'm going to do adds int of per second, and also dot gear clicker dot quantity times self dot click strength, and that is a property, I believe. Yes, and that should be that, and it's a per second value. Seems fine. Let's run it. Okay. Here we are. It's already going. It's already increasing because I have one and it's every second. That's wrong. Let's do why is quantity something other than 0? Clicker. Oh, because it's cursor. Oops. That would help, wouldn't it? Let's try that again. Okay, now it stays at 0. Great. So here's what we'll do. I'm gonna click a bunch. Strength is 1. This figure over here is our clicks per second from buildings, and this is basically our clicks per second from cursors, which are separate for now. I'm not sure of the exact formula for that stuff, but let's see. Extra cursors. These are more like auto cursors. So I'm getting 1 per second, indeed. Now I'm getting 2 per second. So that seems fine. What happens if I do more clicks per click? It should be 2. I would have 2 with this, and I have 2 of them, so I would be getting 4 every second. And indeed I am. With this, I would be getting 8. Yep. And then 16. Yep. So that works. Okay. Neat. Next feature. Different names, tooltips, and costs for successive upgrades. In Cookie Clicker, when you upgrade a building, it has a particular name for each upgrade. Like for upgrading the grandma, and because grandmas bake cookies, that's what they do. That's like the first building you get. There's an upgrade for like steel rolling pins, and then, you know, what else is there? Rolling pins and reinforced dentures and aging cream. So there's a whole bunch of different names for each upgrade, instead of having the same thing over and over again. So let's do that. And here's how we are going to do that. Cost will be, here's what we'll do. Watch what I do. Def cost, and one more thing, another property of this, because it's something I will want to recalculate every time it's called for. And this is going to be costs, because it's going to take a sequence of some kind. And cost will be what do I do with clicker here? I think this is the only one with quantity 1, isn't it? That's the only thing with quantity 1. So what exactly do I do with clickers? These are all other stuff. Clicker, quantity. I can just do +1. That's the only place I do anything with it. Wow. How useless. This +1. Plus, thank you. +1. So we have one more than that. Now we don't need this quantity thing that's only used for that, and can mess everything up. Great. No more quantity. We can hard code this with, nope, I think I was going to hard code something else, and I'm like, no. It's going to be quantity equals 0 for a default. But I can still pass something in. Alright, that's good. So costs will be something like, and that's costs with an S at the end, the plural, this one. That will be some kind of tuple or a list or something. A sequence, not a set. Sets are arbitrarily ordered. That's like dictionaries, because they're a hash table, but they just don't have a connected value, which I explained in a previous segment, because I was storing gear in the dictionary and putting them all in the application, and it was putting them in with different orders sometimes. So the cost will be self.costs self.quantity. Will that work? I think that'll work. So what I plan to do is have a tuple of some kind, a tuple, a sequence, and then I will index it with the quantity. And if they have 0 is what they start with, they will then be getting the first cost. And when they have 1, it'll be the second one. Very tidy. So I think I might have to introduce limits for some of these upgrades. And I think upgrades already do have limits. Clicker has a limit. Cursor does not have a limit. You'll need limits for what? For everything? How much do successive buildings cost? I think that is something else. Let me check over here. I hadn't considered that. Upgrades and buildings are different. Okay. Oh, Cookie Clicker has base cost times 1.15, so that's 15% more instead of 10, to the m minus f, number of that type of building currently owned, minus number of that type of building you have for free. Cursors and grandmas you get from Starter Kit and Starter Kitchen Prestige upgrades. Wow. Equivalently, price of building number n plus 1 equals the previous one times 1.15. Oh, they have an exponent. So we just 1.15. So let's just we'll see if they have a per second, because that's what a building is. So we'll change this to be if self.per_second return actually no, not self.per_second return. Oh, how would I reassign? Oh, I would need a setter of some kind. So that's gonna be fun. I have some things that increase with, oh, I can just see if they don't have a limit. If they're not limited, then they just increase by the percentage. That'll work, I think. Cost if not self.limit. Otherwise, return costs. Just gonna have the first one. I suppose they'll only have one cost. How will I change it though? I do want to be able to change it. Two different sorts of things. I want to be able to reassign it dynamically. That's something I hadn't thought of. So we have static costs and also calculated costs. That's interesting. Wait, there was a formula. For the... What am I? There was a formula. Minus the ones you have for free. Okay. Return. That's very true. There's a formula for this. I don't have to multiply by something and then set it and then save it. I can just use that. I'll just get the first one. Multiply by 1.15 to the self.quantity plus 1. Just in case. I'm going to make it go up a bit. So, what this does is, if we have an unlimited, or no, if there is a limit. If there is a limit to how many we can have, because it's an upgrade of some kind, those each have their own name and description and flavor text, the tooltip stuff. If there's a limit, then we look up the current cost and gonna have to do the same for the description and the tip. Maybe when I purchase something. Yeah, I'll do that. Return self.costs. Okay, so this will find the appropriate manual cost. So if I have a tuple of 5 things for something with a limit of 5, it will start with the 0th element first, and then and so on and so forth until it is at its limit, and then this won't be, and then it'll be the last one. But if it does not have a limit, then I will just get the base cost and multiply by 1.15 times however many there are. Perfect. That makes me happy. So that means now I have to change all this to be tuples of costs instead of just a number. Fun times. So clicker limit is click again whenever you click. For now, instead of making new things, here's what I'm going to do. This times 100. Okay. Great. Extra cursors do not have a limit. These do have a limit. So I'm going to do 50, and when you multiply a list, you get more of whatever's in there. Now you have to be careful if you are if you're doing this with something other than immutable objects. Because if you have mutable objects and you multiply them, then you just get the same reference over and over. Let me make sure I can do this with that. Yeah. So if you have mutable objects, I wouldn't recommend list multiplication. Not a great idea. Times 5. This will need to be in a list or tuple, anything, doesn't matter. Tuples are slightly faster because they're immutable. They don't have to have any planning for becoming larger or smaller. So they can just have a specific amount of memory allocated to them, and that's it. It won't change. 5,000 limit 5 times 5 limit 5 limit 5 limit 5 limit 1. Oh. Clicks for every what's up with the thing. Okay. Limit is 1. So this is a building with no per second. When it hits the limit, it'll do that. That's fine, I guess. It does have a limit. It will keep fetching this. Okay, that's fine. And I'm only buying one anyway. I think that'll work. 15. No limit. This has no limit. No limit. And no limit. There's a per second, but no limit on any of these, because these are just ordinary buildings. Doop-de-doo. Nope, didn't want that. Wanted this. Here's the cost. Here and there, there's no limit, no limit, no limit. Now I did have the cost thingy right here. Cool. Don't really need to change this, do I? Because that's already calculated internally instead of changing every time. I can just take that straight out. Okay. Let's see what I broke. Nothing yet. You can see that nothing is broken at this time. Okay. Now this is not limited. Not limited. So it should just be 11. It is not 11. Oh, because I'm increasing by 1.15 and then not having it be enough. Did I? No, I did plus 1. 1.15 to this plus 1 should have increased by 1. It's not increasing at all in the slightest. Okay, this one times to the self.quantity plus 1. What did I do wrong? Did I just forget to do something? I don't know yet. I'll have to find out. So if there's a limit and clicks per click does have a limit. Oh. Oh yeah, it's I just made this 10. Like, period. Didn't care. Right. That's one of the things that does not increase. Let's go for something that should increase, like an extra cursor. Why is it 26? That's odd. 25. There's no limit. Oh, because it's plus 1. Okay. What else is like that? Buildings have each increased by 1. Okay. Possibly not necessary. 1 to the 0 is 1. Let me check a few of these. 1.15 to the 0 plus 1. So that's the same. Let's do the following, because that increased everything by 1. Do I want to add 1? No. Because I'm increasing the cost by 15%. Math. Yeah. If I have 0, it'll be 1.15 to 0 is the original cost times 1 plus 1. Original cost times 1.15 plus 1. Let's see what happens. 18? 20? 23? I don't need that. Close this and rerun, see what happens. 15. Let's get some clicks. We buy this. It is 17. That seems fine. That seems fine. It's the lowest cost item, pretty much. And seems to be increasing at an appropriate rate. Okay. So, okay, that's cool. That's fine. It's tidier anyway. I was worried that I would have to add 1 because it's turning it into an integer over here. And that means rounding towards 0. And that means if you have a positive number, like 1.8, it turns into 1, but it's not truncating, because if you had or it is like truncating. Instead of rounding down, it's not rounding down. If you had a negative number, like negative 1.8, and you sent that to int, it would be negative 1. So it basically gets rid of the decimal value by rounding toward 0. Okay, look how many clicks I have. Fantastic. Extra cursors. I think I can have an unlimited amount of those, so that cost should go up, and indeed it does. Fantastic. And they click with every click. So I should be getting 4 plus 7 is 11 with every what's it, and I am. Cool. So that works. That works real nicely. Let's try to buy something with a limit, actually. 100. The click booster has a limit. Let's see what that does. Click boosters cost 50, huh? Doop-de-doo. Okay. Cost 50. They should still cost 50 because they have a limit, and I just had a bunch of 50s. 1, 2, 3, 4. Error. got list index out of range. Oh, because there's 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let's add this. If self.quantity not equals self.limit, this. Otherwise, return self.costs. Just, the last one. Whatever. Okay. So this happened because we can have, say, 5 of an item, and we have a cost for when we have 0, and when we have 1, and 2, and 3, but we don't have a cost for 5, because there were already 5 costs listed. And once you have 5, it doesn't, you can't buy any more. There is no cost for that. So a perfectly appropriate traceback. And this should fix it. So let's close this, and I'll run it again. Show you that. Alright, we are testing multiplicative click booster. Many clicks. 10 of those. Multiplicative booster. Oh, I can't afford. Okay. 22. Okay. 50, so I have one of them. 2, 3, 4, and max. And, oh, I didn't have that on. But as you can see, it functions. And you also saw there was no error. So, fantastic. Let me close this, get out of the way. So we've taken care of that. Testing is very good to do. Let's see now. I think that that works. That's fine. Yeah. Cursors, different names and tooltips. So what I just did for costs, I also want to do for the button text for some things, and for their tooltips. So instead of blah, blah, click whenever you click, if limit, let's do the following. Let's add another property. And this one will be description. And these will all be plural. Descriptions, tips, costs. And right, this will have to be, instead of noob training, that'll still be the name of the upgrade internally, but I'll have something different here, like give them a better mouse. And see, here's how you click things, and once you've gotten this, the button will change to maybe give them a wireless mouse. Click from anywhere, and then give them back a wired mouse. These work better or something, I don't know. But it'll change. Description is going to return zero. It's gonna have something similar to what cost has, because I don't want to get the last one, because this is for buying upgrades. So if they have reached a limit, I don't want to show them the next one if the next one does not exist. That would be weird, right? If self.limit let's make this less than the limit. I realize I'm writing things more than once. Don't repeat yourself. I know. I'll either take care of it right now or mess with it later on. But for now, I'm just gonna keep on trucking, I think. Return self dot. Guess these are doing the same thing. But if it doesn't have another one, then it just is the same. So it will have slightly different handling. But for this one, it's self.descriptions, self.quantity. Otherwise, return self.descriptions -1. I don't think it needs to actually return anything, or does it? You can just state the last one, I guess. What's this doing here? Return. You know what? Just do the last one. If there's a limit and they're not at it yet, then index it. And if there's either no limit or we are at the limit, if it exists, we'll just return the last one, and it will still require a sequence to be passed to it. Is that important? Return either the appropriate description from a sequence. Should this be here? It should be elsewhere. If init and this is something you generally start with, writing the doc strings, but as you can see, they change because I did the basic version first and then kept adding features. So descriptions, tips, and costs are a sequence if limit not equals 0 or sequence of such, or single ones if not limited. Okay. Does that make sense for descriptions? To have just one? Maybe? Any opinions out there? No? Not at this time? No? Okay. Let's see. I'll just have it be a reliable input type. Whatever. Last one, only one, whatever. Because this way I can just call it, it can apply to both. It'll be either the last one if there are multiple, or the only one if there's just one in the list. Seems fine to me. Let's see, should I change this one over here to be simpler? No, because it's doing different things for these. If there's a limit and we're in it, then index it. But if there is a limit and we are at it, then I want to do the last one and otherwise do something else entirely. Okay. That's fine. That's good. We can't really combine this with an and, because I have two different things for if one or both conditions are satisfied. So, what have we got? Description. Now I have to do things with descriptions. Ugh. Okay. That's fine. Which of these has a limit? Can I do this with strings, I think? Yeah. Strings, immutable type. Yeah. I am okay with multiplying strings. This times 100. It's kind of a big limit. Does that even need a limit? I don't know. That's a good question, though. Why should we limit that to 100? It's just adding a single click to the cursors and manual clicks. What do I even do with this? Basically nothing. Quantity for the click strength. This doesn't need a limit. It's an upgrade, I guess, but I think it should be considered more of a building for clicks. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take out this and I'm gonna take out that. No more limit. Did I break anything? Yes, I did. Okay, I'm still referring to description somewhere that I shouldn't be. Gear.description, and it is in this line. Let me go ahead and show you that. So that's this thing. This, not that. Self.gear, gear.name. Why am I doing this? Why not just gear? I'm going through the values anyway. Instead of getting its name and accessing it to get itself. Gear.cost, but this broke earlier, so that's bad. Oh, because I only have, well, of course. Of course this broke. Because I only changed it for none of them. Apparently. Okay. Yeah, I need to do this for the descriptions and the tips. Forgot tips entirely. Sorry, program. Property def tip self dot limit and these could probably be similar, but it's okay. I don't want to have to have a bunch of calls. And self dot quantity less than self dot limit. Why is this all the way over here? Return self dot tips, self dot quantity, or the last one. We could have done 0 minus 1. Same thing. 0 minus 1 is equal to minus 1. Negative 1. Anyway, okay, I have for description and tip. Okay, where do I need those? No limit, no limit. This has a limit. So I will change this times 5 is the limit, and this times 5. Limit equals 5 times 5. Limit is 5 again. Times 5. Another limit of 5. The glamorous part, right? Limit 1. I can only have one of these upgrades. Okay. And this is a building. Doesn't change, but I will need to wrap these in these. If I wanted to make these tuples, I could do the following instead. I could put in parentheses, but tuples are delineated by commas, not with parentheses. So this is still a string. That's a tuple, now that I put a comma in there. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to put it into square brackets. It'll be a list. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter at all. List of things. Blah, blah, blah. A list. A list. These all have no limit. Anything else limit in this? No. Should I do that? Things that don't have a limit being like this anyway? That's a valid question, I guess. That would be changing the changing this to have return self.descriptions with no indexing. But then I would need a separate thing for if self.limit, and then if self.quantity less than self.limit, then I would return this, and otherwise I would return the last one. And then if none of those were true, if there is no limit at all, then I would return to self.descriptions. So I think it's worth it to just go and add a pile of square brackets. Synergy, no synergy. Square brackets are so much fun. Okay, not really. But you gotta do what you gotta do. And it's either this or make the parameters for gear initialization a little looser. And I think all things considered, I'm gonna go with this. I'm just gonna. So, digital resolutions. Okay. Alright. Now let's see if it breaks. It does not. Invalid syntax. What did I do wrong? Oh, I missed a thingy somewhere. Right here. Bam. And again. Not supposed to be there. Supposed to be here. Oh, that was totally wrong. Okay, let me look through this real quick. Hopefully quick. Name, description. This needs one of these. They all do, don't they? Yeah. Here and the tip, the name, the thing, and the tip. The name and the description and the tip, because it's a limit. Limit means name and description with multiplying and the tip. Name, description, and tip. Limit is 1, so it doesn't need a multiplier. Name, description, and tip in brackets. Name, description, and tip in brackets. Name, description, and tip in brackets. Name, description, brackets, tip in brackets, and brackets. Very good. All in brackets, all in brackets. In brackets, in brackets, name, in brackets, in brackets, name, in brackets, in brackets. I think I did most of them right. Name, brackets, that's in brackets, with the thing. Name, that's in brackets, that's in brackets. Okay. No errors. And it's running. So there we have it. This may be, we may not have many features we're going to add today, just cursors and manual or automatic new descriptions, tips, and costs. So let's see what happens when I do things. Clicks per click is no longer limited, so the cost will increase by 10%. Yep, that it does. Looks good. Extra cursors. Does this have a cost? Clicks per click. Oh, it's not in, yes it is. Clicks per click, what's it? Why is that not in parentheses? That's odd. I don't know why it's doing that. Let me restart this. Does it start out right? It does. And then it disappears. That's not cool. It's not cool at all. I didn't want that. I wanted, this is the configuring a button for the thingy. Format, gear.cost, gear.quantity, do they all do this? Oh, I'm removing the parentheses for all these. And do you know why? Because I'm telling it to. Let's try that again. Doo-dee-doo. Can you see? Yeah? Okay. And stays in the parentheses now. Great. So we bought some of those. And click boosters will just be 50 all the time. 50 all the time. They're very strong. How about we buy some of these? I don't know. The cost goes up. If I have enough. Otherwise, no, it does not. Okay. Cost goes up. How about extra cursors? Which I don't believe are limited. They are not limited. And those are adding more clicks than are present in just this. I'm getting a lot more than 166 per second, even though I have no... Do I have no upgrades? Yeah, no upgrades for those. And yet I'm getting a lot here because I have 28 strength from this, and then the click booster, is that included? Yeah, the click booster is included, but the extra cursors, 14 times 56 is going to be a decent number, which is 784. We add that to 166, and that's nearly 1,000. And that is indeed what we're getting. So the numbers are working and being numbers like they're supposed to. Neat. What else are we gonna do today? Anything? Going for almost an hour. So let's see. We got cursors and we got different names and tooltips. We don't really have any different content for those different descriptions and tooltips and costs. It's just the same things over and over again. But that's okay. I can add content later. Took almost an hour to add the mechanics, so I think that's pretty good. It's fine that we don't have fancy numbers chosen. I had a bunch of things planned, but I think this is good. Custom cost, names and tooltips. Double one building's efficiency to make other buildings gain 1% CPS per X original building. There are some interesting mechanics in Cookie Clicker, most of which are when you do one thing, you get numbers from either itself or something else in various ways, multiplied by something, perhaps with an exponent, you never know. Achievements, that will not be soon. Maybe I could add the system for it and add a couple achievements. Cookie Clicker has what's called milk. That's the achievements, because you know, cookies and milk. And then you can get kittens, which increase your cookies per second based on how many achievements you have. Yeah. Golden cookies, clicking gains percent or whatever, lots of stuff here. But we added a few things. It's working. Didn't really change the complexity of the program too much. A couple new properties over here. A few new properties. I had to change a bunch of the things here to have sequences. Now strings are already sequences, but not the kind of sequence I mean. I wanted multiple strings. If I had left it without the brackets, it would just be the first name of this would have been capital C, and the next name would be L, but it wouldn't actually work because I'm relying on this formatting specifier to format it later, and it wouldn't find that, so it wouldn't work. I think we saw that at some point. With this, not all arguments converted during string formatting because it was broken. That's probably exactly why. Because it had things that were just a string instead of many strings, and the single character strings didn't allow interpolation. That's what that is. So we added that. A bunch of stuff here. I don't think any of this changed. I think this was similar. Gear.description, gear.cost. I didn't have to change these because they're just properties that are calculated on the fly. More tooltips. I'm gonna have to make new tooltips when I and reconfigure the button. Probably when I somewhere in purchase, or maybe just in purchase or update. Update is gonna be my place for putting things in there that have to happen sometimes every second, but don't necessarily need to happen at a specific time. Like if I had the cost of successive buildings increasing on update, then you could click really fast and get a bunch of buildings for one price, and then a second later the price would increase and you could buy a bunch more before the next second was up. So that definitely has to happen in there. But I think for display stuff, it's okay. That was cool. I like the number formatter that we made last time. That was neat. Clicker. Yes, we added the clicker. That's right. Oh no, we just added the +1. Instead of having a custom quantity field, we just say it's everything starts at 0. And when we need to do this, we add +1 in one place. That's fine. We have purchase. Yeah, I might add, this when we reconfigure the button, I will reconfigure instead of just getting the current text, I'm going to get its current description and quantity. I'm just going to format everything in there instead of grabbing it directly from the thing. I don't know why I'm even doing this, because I have the gear object itself. When I, right? Gear.quantity, yeah. I have the gear object itself. I don't need to look it up anywhere or get the text from it, because this is gear.button. This is the button widget that we assign to it, and text is that's one of its attributes, and that's how you retrieve it with that dictionary access style. I could also do gear.button text equals something else, and it would just reassign a new value to that dictionary. But you're supposed to use config in general. That's what that's there for. So I'll be changing that next time, I think, to make things actually appear when I change them. For now, we wouldn't be able to tell because everything is the same, except for the cost increases. Everything that has a manual description, tip, and cost is just the same one over and over again. So we wouldn't be able to test this properly with what we currently have. Configure update. Didn't have to do anything in there for now. So yeah, that's what we have this time, and maybe next time we will do reconfiguring the button for these things with the new description and new tooltip. I'll have to change that as well. I wonder if I can configure tooltips to just be different, or if I have to destroy. Anyway, so next time I will have some different stuff to some degree for various sequential upgrades, so that they can have different description, text, description, tip, and cost, so that we can see the differences reflected in the UI. Yeah, I did that. Okay, so we'll do that. Probably not achievements. Getting clicks per second for clicking. Overall multipliers, that should be easy. A multiplier is just tacking something on at the end of increase by 1% or whatever. I don't know. So yeah, probably a bunch of content for next time. And I think that's it for this time. So I'm going to be ending the stream. I hope you enjoyed it and will join me next time. That's next week, I believe. Yeah, it's Saturday, so it'll have to be next week. And I will see you then. Thanks very much and have a good one.